If you say these 3 words the right way, he won't just think about you. He'll feel you in the quiet moments, between meetings, while scrolling his phone, while lying in bed at night. You'll pop into his mind not because of how you look or what you wore or how flirty you were, but because of something much deeper. You'll stir a feeling inside him he didn't even know he was missing. Most women try to be noticed, louder, sexier, more available, but the women who leave a mark, they know how to speak to a man's emotional core. They say the right words, in the right moment, in a way that hits like lightning and lingers like a song he can't stop humming. If you've ever wondered how to be the woman a man can't stop thinking about, this is the moment to pay attention. Because once you understand what these 3 words really mean and how to deliver them, you won't just get his attention, you'll have his heart wrapped around your voice. There's a reason why some people stay on your mind even hours after a short conversation. It's not always what they said, it's how they said it and what it made you feel. That's the magic of intrigue. When you say something that doesn't give away everything but leaves just enough mystery, you create a space in someone's mind, a space they want to fill, a space they keep returning to. Most people try to be overly clear, overly available, overly expressive, but there's a quiet power in saying less while meaning more. When a woman knows how to use intrigue, she doesn't just attract a man, she captivates him. And the secret often lies in just 3 words. Not "I love you," not "I miss you," something even simpler, yet infinitely more powerful because of how it's delivered. Think of it like this. Men are not only visual creatures, they're also imaginative. When you say something that requires his brain to connect the dots, you're giving him a gift. You're inviting him into a puzzle he wants to solve. And the beauty is, that puzzle is you. Let's say you're texting and instead of saying "I had fun," you say "You surprised me." That's a hook. Now he's thinking, what part surprised her? Was it good? Was it bad? What did I do differently? That one line has him analyzing, rewinding, reflecting. You're not just having a conversation, you're implanting a thought. Or maybe after a date you simply say, "You're trouble, huh?" with a playful tone. Again, it's not what's said, it's what's implied. That one sentence paints a picture in his head. It teases, it plays, it lingers. He starts wondering if you're teasing him, warning him, or flirting with him. And that curiosity becomes fuel. It keeps his attention alive long after the moment has passed. When you give a man everything at once, there's nothing left for him to uncover. He enjoys the moment, but then the feeling fades. But when you give him a reason to revisit what just happened, to wonder what you meant, to replay your words in his mind, you become a story he rereads in his head. That's the real power of intrigue. It doesn't chase attention, it attracts it naturally. The key is that it doesn't come from manipulation. It comes from confidence, comes from knowing your value and allowing him to experience it piece by piece. You let him discover you instead of delivering yourself. Men are drawn to what feels exciting, different, and emotionally rewarding. When you say something in a way that activates his curiosity, he's not just thinking about what you said, he's thinking about you saying it. The way you smiled when you said it, the way your eyes locked with his for half a second longer than expected, the rhythm of your voice, the pause before you spoke, the way you made him feel something without fully explaining it. These are the ingredients of mental attraction. These are the subtle sparks that create fire in his mind. Most women overlook this and focus on impressing him, pleasing him, or proving their worth. But the woman who learns to master the art of intrigue doesn't need to prove anything. She just knows the right words, delivered at the right time, can echo in his thoughts all day. 3 simple words, when laced with emotion, timing, and subtle meaning, can become more powerful than a love letter. They don't even need to be deep. They just need to leave the door open for him to wonder. to explore, to think, and that's how you stay on his mind effortlessly. There's something powerful about words that carry weight beyond their sound. When you say something in the right emotional moment, those words don't just hit his ears, they land in his memory. That's emotional anchoring. It's the idea that people attach feelings to specific words, and when those words are tied to a moment where someone feels seen, appreciated, or understood, they come back to them again and again. Men are no different. In fact, many men walk around emotionally guarded, unsure if anyone truly understands what drives them or what they need to hear. So when a woman comes along who knows how to speak not just to his ego, but to his heart, it stands out. It lingers. It creates a connection that isn't easily forgotten. Let's say you look at him and say, "I feel safe with you." You may think it's just a nice thing to say, but to him, that might be the first time he's ever felt like someone saw him as a protector. Not because he's physically strong, but because his presence alone calms you. Those 3 words, "I feel safe," tie into something deep. They anchor a positive emotion to you. Every time he recalls how it felt to hear that, he thinks of you. Or maybe you say, "You really get me." Again, simple words, but they carry emotional weight. Most men don't hear that often. They're expected to be providers, to be strong, to figure things out. When someone says, "You really get me," it taps into a desire most men rarely get fulfilled. The desire to be understood without having to explain everything. These aren't compliments. They're deeper than that. Compliments touch the surface. Emotional anchors touch the soul. The key is not just in saying them, it's in choosing the moment when he's open to receiving them. Maybe you're in the middle of laughing together and you pause and say, "You make me feel like I can just be myself." That moment becomes locked in his memory. Every time he's around you, he starts to associate your presence with emotional freedom, with authenticity, with comfort. He starts craving that feeling again, and because you're the one who gave it to him, his mind keeps circling back to you. The reason this works so well is because emotions amplify memory. People don't remember facts as much as they remember how something made them feel. When you use simple, emotionally loaded phrases during meaningful interactions, you're essentially marking that moment with a highlight pen. It becomes a mental snapshot, and when his day gets quiet or stressful or boring, his mind starts flipping through those snapshots, and there you are, still there, still vivid, still emotionally charged. It's not about saying something poetic or overly romantic. It's about identifying what he values: respect, appreciation, connection, admiration, and using 3 words that affirm that part of him. It's about saying the thing he didn't even know he needed to hear. The beauty is, these words don't have to be planned. They just need to be honest. When they come from a real place, they carry real power. And when a man receives those words in a moment that already feels good, he associates that feeling with you. That's how emotional anchoring works. It doesn't beg for his attention. It earns his memory. And once you're attached to a powerful emotional moment in his mind, you're not just another person. You're the one he can't stop thinking about. There's something incredibly powerful about vulnerability, especially when it comes from a place of strength. Most people think being vulnerable means being weak or overly emotional, but true vulnerability is about honesty. It's about revealing something real in a world where everyone's wearing a mask. And when a woman allows herself to be seen in a way that's unexpected, not dramatic, not performative, but real, it hits different. It's memorable. Because most of the time, men are used to surface level conversations, to people trying to impress them, to small talk that never touches the heart. But when you say something that opens a small window into your true thoughts or emotions, it immediately creates contrast. And contrast sticks. Imagine you're having a light-hearted conversation, maybe joking, maybe flirting, and then you pause and say something like, "Sometimes I pretend everything's okay, even when I feel completely lost." That's not a big emotional breakdown. It's a flash of truth. And in that flash, he sees you, not just the version of you you show to the world, but the version that feels things deeply. That kind of moment is what leaves a mark. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be explained. In fact, it's more powerful when it's not. When it just is. It makes a man stop. It pulls him out of autopilot. It makes him think about you long after the moment has passed, because most people don't show that kind of honesty, especially not in the beginning. The beauty of unexpected vulnerability is that it's so rare. Everyone's trying to be strong, to look cool, to say the right thing. But when you say the thing that's real, even if it's small, it lands with an impact. And what makes it unforgettable is the way it's woven into an otherwise normal moment. It's not during a dramatic confession or in the middle of a serious heart-to-heart. It's slipped in between laughter or casual conversation. That's when it hits hardest, because it's real. And real is irresistible. Let's say he shares something about his past, maybe something that was hard for him, and instead of changing the subject or giving a generic response, you look at him and say, "I've felt that way too." That's it. Those words in that moment become a mirror. He sees himself in you, and suddenly you're not just someone he enjoys talking to, you're someone who gets it. Someone who gets him. That's when a man starts thinking about you not just as a romantic interest, but as someone he wants to be around. Because when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, even just for a moment, you give him permission to do the same. Men are taught not to show emotion, not to talk about fear or sadness or doubt. So when you do it, when you show just a glimpse of what's underneath the surface, it's disarming. It softens him. It invites him into a space he rarely gets to be in, a space that feels safe, not judged, not analyzed, just understood. And when a man feels that way around you, it's not something he forgets. He might not even be able to explain it, but he'll feel drawn to you. He'll remember the way you made him feel just by being honest, just by letting him see a side of you most people never show. That kind of connection doesn't come from chasing, pleasing, or performing. It comes from a single moment of truth delivered without fear, without agenda, just truth. And that's what keeps you in his thoughts, even when the conversation is long over. Every man, no matter how confident or independent he appears, carries a silent desire to feel needed, valued, and important to the person he cares about. This isn't about ego, and it's not about trying to inflate his pride. It's about fulfilling a very natural instinct that runs deep. It's often called the hero instinct. It's the emotional trigger that makes a man feel like he matters in your life, not because you can't do things for yourself, but because you choose to let him contribute. When a woman learns how to speak to this part of a man, not by begging, not by pretending, but through small, powerful cues, she begins to take up permanent space in his mind. Men don't want to be everything for everyone. But for the right woman, they want to be something. They want to feel like their presence makes a difference. When you say something as simple as, "I feel better when you're around," or "I always feel calmer after I talk to you," you're not just saying thank you. You're activating that hero instinct. You're showing him that who he is matters, that what he does has value. And because men are often starved of that kind of emotional recognition, it hits hard. He might act cool in the moment, but those words echo long after. They create a new belief in his mind. I make her life better. And once he starts believing that, he wants to keep showing up. This isn't about pretending to be helpless or making up problems so he can fix them. It's about letting him feel emotionally useful. When you say something like, "You make me feel safe," or "I trust your opinion on this," it's not about you giving up control. It's about letting him step into his strength and feel seen for it. Those 3 or 4 words have the power to change how he sees himself with you. And that subtle shift becomes something he wants to hold on to. He starts craving more of it, and by extension, more of you. Think about it. When someone makes you feel smart, strong, appreciated, you naturally gravitate toward them. You think about them more. You want to impress them, show up for them, be around them. That's the same dynamic happening here, except when it's romantic, it carries even more emotional energy. It turns attraction into emotional attachment. That's why so many relationships fizzle out, because the emotional needs go unspoken. But when a woman finds a moment to speak to a man's need to be her protector, her partner, her supporter, not in grand declarations, but in small, everyday ways, she becomes unforgettable. Even something as seemingly simple as "I like it when you take the lead" can completely change the tone of a conversation. He doesn't just hear the words, he feels a sense of purpose. And once a man feels purposeful around you, he starts building a connection that's not just physical or intellectual, it's emotional. He starts to want to make you happy, to look out for you, to show you he's capable and trustworthy. And when that switch flips, he starts thinking about you all the time. Not just when you're together, but in the in-between moments. When he's working, driving, falling asleep, he replays your words. He replays the way you made him feel needed without making him feel used. Important without putting pressure on him. Appreciated without giving up your independence. That's rare, and what's rare stays on his mind. Because deep down, every man is looking for someone who sees him, not just for what he does, but for who he becomes when he's with her. There are moments in a conversation where time seems to pause, not because of what's being said, but because of how it's being said. Micro moments of connection aren't about long, deep conversations or dramatic emotional breakthroughs. They're those small, almost fleeting instances that carry an unexpected emotional weight. A glance held a second too long. A slight touch on the arm, a quiet laugh shared in a moment of silence, a simple phrase said with sincerity. These are the moments that sink deep into someone's mind without effort, without warning. And for a man, those micro moments often carry more impact than hours of talking or texting. They become memories he replays over and over, not because they were grand, but because they were real. It's not about trying to impress him. It's not about saying the smartest or most attractive thing. It's about being present. When you say something like, "I like this side of you," while he's opening up, or "You're fun to be around," when he's not trying to be anything but himself, that comment becomes attached to a specific moment where he was fully relaxed, fully himself. And because you noticed him in that space, when he wasn't performing, when he wasn't trying, that small sentence becomes deeply significant. He'll think back and remember exactly where you were sitting, what you were wearing, how your voice sounded. That's the power of emotional detail. Men don't always remember the whole conversation. They remember the flash of a smile after a compliment, the way your voice dropped slightly when you said something meaningful, the warmth in your eyes when you really looked at them. These little moments are anchors, and when they happen during seemingly ordinary interactions, they feel even more intimate. They don't come with pressure, They don't require a response, but they create a feeling, one that sticks, a feeling that says, she gets me, or I feel something different when I'm with her. And once that feeling is created, his brain starts looking for more of it. He becomes more tuned into your presence, more sensitive to your energy, more drawn to whatever it is that makes you feel different from the rest. Most people move too fast, talk too much, fill every silence. But when you allow space in a conversation, when you let something breathe and trust that it's enough, that's when those micro moments show up. You might not even realize when it's happening, but he does. He feels it in the quiet comfort. He notices when you're not rushing to impress. He senses that calm confidence and it draws him in. And the 3 words you say in that space, whatever they are, carry a completely different emotional weight. They become part of a sensory memory, a tone, a look, a vibe, something he can't describe but can't shake either. It's never about what's most clever, it's about what's most felt. You could say something as simple as I like this while laughing on a date, and if you say it while making eye contact with warmth and honesty, it becomes a marker. He'll remember that phrase, that tone, that look, and it'll come back to him when he least expects it, in the middle of a meeting, while scrolling his phone, while lying in bed. Because it wasn't just a statement, it was a moment. And once you learn how to slow down and trust those moments, you'll find that you don't need to say much to stay on his mind. You just need to mean it. That energy, calm, confident, emotionally aware, is rare. And when a man experiences it, he doesn't forget it. He replays it. He revisits it. And slowly that feeling becomes something he starts to crave again. And the person attached to that feeling is you. So when it comes down to it, getting a man to think about you all day isn't about chasing, convincing, or trying to be someone you're not. It's about how you make him feel in the quiet moments, in the unexpected words, in the emotional spaces most people overlook. Those 3 simple words, when rooted in intrigue, emotional anchoring, honest vulnerability, the hero instinct, or a micro moment of connection, carry far more power than a grand romantic gesture ever could. They slip past his defenses, they bypass logic, they live in his emotional memory where real attraction and attachment grow. And when you use your words with presence, with sincerity, and with confidence, you don't just get his attention, you earn a place in his mind, his thoughts, and eventually his heart. Not by being louder, not by being more, just by being real and choosing your words when they matter most.